Okay, so I wrote down some notes for the first meeting, and I'm going to read them to you because that way you don't have to read through them yourself. So here's the summary of the first town hall meeting. Here we go. I tried to record a video of the meeting to make it publicly available, but my camera only got 20 minutes, and the first 10 was just me sitting around waiting to start. So that's why I'm taking the second video right now. So I'm writing everything down from the meeting as it's fresh in my head. This was last night. And I've sent this document to as many of the participants as possible to make sure I covered the most important things that were shared. I want to make sure that people know the exact purpose and intention of this meeting and following meetings. The turnout wasn't huge, maybe 20 people, but they represented a wide swath of backgrounds, and members of the Lions Club, Chamber, and the Community Club were present. So in terms of information, event access, and dispersion, basically we were talking about whether it's emergency information or whether it's just stuff that's going on around Springville. For some reason, it's very difficult to either find this information or to spread it. So we talked about this at length. Being unincorporated means we don't have the infrastructure a city would to broadcast information, whether it's happenings in town or emergency information. So we have to figure out our own system. During the flood, many had no idea where to find information on road closures, where to get certain kinds of aid, or how to contribute their own funds and or resources to people in need. We used to have an obvious place or obvious places to post events and information, like the post office or the hamburger stand. Not used as much anymore. There's not really a central hub of information. Used to have more consistent community gatherings or things to do. The loss of river access, loss of access to the Springville wilds and hills through the years due to concerns over private property and trespassing disabled big touch points for the community. Fewer and fewer consistent touch points exist. Many people clearly want to be involved in the various things going on, but feel left out because they're not sure where to learn about them. Shift happening between older and newer generations. The older generation of organizations is getting tired. The Patton House is struggling with volunteers, as is the Apple Festival Committee and the Community Club. The newer generation isn't really getting involved. Many people are hesitant to any change at all. There's a big mistrust in the growing number of outsiders moving in. The truth is, many of these outsiders are doing their best to respect Springville's legacy and are attracted to this town because it hasn't been overrun by corporate culture. I want to say I'm not including, I know that there's a concern about people just buying up Airbnbs, and I don't really consider, or buying up property and renting them out as Airbnbs and not really spending any time here. And I don't really consider those people outsiders moving in. I consider that more of like developers. I just wanted to say that. It seems that we must reestablish old bonds and form new ones in order to make sure Springville stays both unincorporated and non-corporatized. I've heard from many people that there's quite a buzz about this event, but I think certain people chose not to participate because they assume their interests aren't important to the new folk, and that's just not the case, I promise you, at least not for me. I can speak for myself and many people that I know. So here's some possible solutions that we came up with. Person-to-person, word of mouth is irreplaceable as the dominant way to spread information. The community club has funding, ability, and willingness to try new community events that are interesting to the younger generations. And by the way, they begin their meetings again in September in case you want to join and talk about things that you want to see happening in Springville. We need more informal town halls, gatherings, or just types of gatherings where people are encouraged to voice their opinions and just to hang out with each other, just to hang out as a community. Someone had the idea of adding a brainstorm session to the beginning of the community club meetings. There's an idea of creating a community club idea deposit box, and this is sort of all wrapped around the idea that the community club does have a lot of influence and has certain abilities, certain things that they're able to do. I mean, they do technically put on all of Apple Festival, so. This was a big one. A community emailed or printed newsletter, which is organized and manufactured by either the Chamber or the Community Club, but that has contributions from various sectors of the community. I mean, like content contributions, people from various parts of the community, whether it's the businesses or different organizations and different clubs or whatever, different projects even, or even just citizens themselves, putting in, their content, and the community club just kind of putting it into one like packet, right? And emailing this out or printing it, kind of having it's almost like a little community newspaper. And then this was also a really big one, the Springville Unity Project. This is a 501c nonprofit charity which can be funded and driven by community members. Open-ended goals, essentially a centralized entity which can collect community funds and put them towards anything the community wants to see happen, whether it's sports events for kids, river cleanups, fundraisers, festivals, cultural events. And this is currently being organized by Corey Wells. So if you want to know more about that, find him and talk to him about it. We need to start organizing consistent events that repeat monthly or yearly, which incorporate and speak to bigger swaths of the community, and slowly build out new Springville traditions around art, music, fitness, sports, nature, etc. This will not only connect all the different slices of Springville, it will incentivize the younger generations to also participate in current established traditions. And then I just asked, sort of open-endedly, what do people want to see in Springville? And really one of the biggest things is just more stuff for kids to do. More stuff for teenagers to do, little kids to do, sports, art classes, dances, all kinds of things. So if you have ideas about this, please let me know. A place open to hosting performances of a wider range of musical styles and genres. We did say very specifically that there's such a wide range of musical talent here, and a part of that range is incredible country, rock, bluegrass, musicians, incredible. And I feel like those people, they have an outlet. They have an outlet here. I think there are other people. There are other, people that play classical instruments, people that play jazz, or maybe they have music from their culture, whatever it is. And they would also like a space to perform. And then also a potential, this is an interesting idea, renting out of Upper Coffee Camp once a year, where only those from Springville proper are invited, and they have a big day in the river together. So basically a bunch of people from Springville, somehow we rent that space out. It's kind of like a private community event. We all get to know each other and hang out in the river. I think it's a great idea. I don't know how executable it is. I don't know what the steps are, but again, the idea of having really no access to the wilds unless you have land, I think that has really, it sounds like it's brought down, again, those touch points between people in the community. And then another thing that's not on here that I did want to say, we were thinking about doing just like drum circles in the park. Because again, these things are just open-ended. They're just fun. There's no agenda. There's nothing behind them other than just getting together and like hearing sounds and moving around and dancing. And the Lantern did a few drum circles almost like 2 years ago, and they were incredible. They were really quite, we met a lot of really important people that are really kind of important in our lives right now. So then the biggest takeaways, okay, this is the last section. Existing clubs and organizations are open to new ideas. The community needs new, unique, in-person touch points, traditions to make people feel like active members and connect the old with the new and the incoming, because connection, that's the point. Instead of having all these little bubbles, I feel like we need to sort of get more and more together and find common ground. One of the organizations needs to spearhead an emailed or printed monthly Springville-only newsletter, which will become a central place to learn about all the happenings in Springville. So that's the summary. It was a great meeting. I just want to thank everybody who showed up. There was a lot of fire and a lot of spirit and a lot of passion. And the people that were there, I think, were very, very glad to be there. And I was very glad to have them. So I'm hoping to have another kind of gathering like this sometime soon, just because also at the end we had an open mic session, which was a lot of just jamming around. And then there were some stories that were told, there was some poetry, there were some songs, and it was really nice. So yeah, thanks.